Thanks for joining Back Issues here. We have Bray, myself, Mel, Tim and Isaiah in the hot seats today. And we have just finished Punisher Warzone, Lexi Alexander film. So, yeah, and the general consensus is it wasn't as bad as we thought.
Yeah. Pleasantly surprised that I don't want to die now.
I've already seen it twice.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy showing this movie to people.
Yeah. Well, this is your movie, actually.
Yeah. I always think whenever I look back on this movie, that's a lot more graphic and violent.
Yeah.
Oh,
this
that's
is from your collection.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about then in the park. That's
See, it's still got the green blockbuster.
So I imported this copy from California then.
Oh, this is the 10-cent copy
that
you were talking about earlier? Hey!
So we did get our money's worth.
We definitely got our 10 cents worth. More 10 cents worth.
Yeah.
Yes.
2.5 cents each.
Big spenders over here. Very much
well,
so.
now stay tuned for our 2 cents.
We'll throw in the extra 0.5 for free.
For free, yeah.
Alrighty. Well, let's kick it off with the things we liked.
Who wants to take this one? As is maybe you?
Sure, I'll start. It's dumb, it's violent, it's gory. I don't know.
Not as gory or violent as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
It's honestly pretty well shot. I mean, aside from what you were mentioning in the action scenes, there was a lot of oh, that's a weird choice for an action scene sort of stuff, where it just feels like she was a little green when it came to shooting action. It's fine. It's her second movie, so whatever. I liked Jigsaw a lot, honestly. I thought that I liked him more after the accident.
Yes.
Before the accident, he was doing a weird thing with his mouth, and after it was it just looked weird and stupid, and I like...
But good stupid, right?
I like nailing parkour dudes with rocket launchers.
Parkour! Parkour! I think my favorite parkour shot is there's one point in time where a guy literally just runs up to a wall and jumps up, and he just grabs onto the top and doesn't even hold himself up. You're like, why was that still in there?
Parkour!
Parkour! Yeah, exactly. But glorious. So glorious.
I don't know. A lot of the characters... The villains were definitely the highlight for me of the acting and the characters in this movie. The colors, I don't know. It's easy to watch, it's short, it's dumb, like I said that already, but I don't know.
Dumb.
It's just it's a schlocky B movie, C movie, probably even more so. Something that you would expect from Trauma kind of thing. It knows what it is.
Yeah, and it delves right on in there as well. I think, there's the visuals that you get throughout this movie. I think there's a lot of, it's very stylized with the use of color and all of that. I think we counted 5 washes. We had green, yellow, red, blue, and purple at some point.
And then it builds to the racial color.
Yeah.
The Irish bar guys are all green. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it was great. Great cinematography. That was my favorite part.
Pretty.
To look at.
Yeah.
Everything was pretty to look at.
There were so many shots where I was oh.
Yeah. Actually, which
I don't really care about the story.
No.
It's pretty.
Yeah. That scene in the church with all the candles.
So cool.
The shot where he's on the far left frame and Punisher's on the far right frame every time they cut back and forth. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's weird. It's you took the job because you're a great director and you're yeah, I do action, and then you're oh, I gotta work with this character and these guys. All right. But they knew what they were making. Everybody except Ray Stevenson, probably.
Yeah.
Right? He was I'm finally the lead of a superhero movie.
I've always wanted to play Punisher.
Yeah.
I know exactly how to do it.
Right? And this was before Thor, right?
Yes.
So he hasn't yet done Volstagg?
Volstagg,
Thor was 2010, right?
Yeah. It was Iron Man, then Captain America, then...
Don't forget the Hulk.
Thor.
Incredible Hulk in
And
there.
they had Hulk.
Hulk came out
Before.
July of 2008, so
it was before.
Marvel Studios had made 2 movies before this.
Oh, wow. Right on. There was something else that we had that was quite big this year as well, for 2008. It'll come. It was another one of those like big budget movies where you were just like, oh, okay, this makes sense why this movie didn't make all that much money at the box office, because you're just like, wow, it was following some serious competition, especially with Iron Man earlier on in there.
I really enjoyed the very fantastical set as well. The locations and...
Yeah, everything was really, like, it was realistic. Like, they did everything location shooting, right? Even the, like, inside stuff was all location.
Yeah.
Which is great. I don't know why they don't do that more often.
Yeah.
You get this real sense of authenticity with the warehouses and the city and everything as well. If you listen to the commentary track, we talk about it throughout, but Isaiah, you brought up like the brick buildings and all of that.
From Montreal.
Reminded me of home, actually. In Australia, we have a lot of brick buildings as well. So like,
really?
it's not something that we see all that often in Vancouver.
Well...
Not for brains.
Yeah.
Just for buildings.
Ironically, generally it's only one family living in a single household as opposed to, 3 levels with three different
families.
Yeah, 3 different families.
You like to spread out.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was good.
Really cool. Also, I'll just say, the characterization of Jigsaw was awesome. And at first, you're kind of like, it looks so fake, his makeup, but then, he very quickly, that became the character, and it worked. I compared him in the podcast to Dorian from The Mask. At the very end, when he puts it on, and he's the big kind of evil mask, and he kind of has that chin, and he wore it like that, and he walked that part, and, he was great. Dominic West. Right? Shout out to him. He stole the movie. Yeah. Really, this was his movie.
Yeah.
They should have called it, Punisher Jigsaw. Or Punisher versus Jigsaw.
Punishes Jigsaw?
Maybe that's a branding thing because of Saw, right?
Oh yeah, that could be something for sure. I think my favorite part about this was the action scenes. Even though I did mention I felt like the cuts were slightly off, I did really like all of the action that happened. I think my favorite is the dinner party scene, right at the start.
From year one.
We mentioned very much like Batman Year One. You got all the mobsters sitting around there, then all of a sudden there's this red wash, and there's just Punisher standing there, and great. And the... not the confrontation with Jigsaw at the end, but the lead up, going room to room in the warehouse. I really liked that as well. I thought it was lots of fun. Plus, a guy doing parkour gets taken out with a rocket launcher.
With a rocket launcher from midair, jumping over. It was the Ron Perlman jump from Enemy at the Gates, right?
Oh yes.
No, you go first. It was good.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Anything else we loved? I
think that about sums it up. So yeah.
Wow.
Moving
Stay
on.
tuned for the hard part.
Yeah.
What's that thing that the kids are doing now? The shark thing.
They do a thing.
There's a new challenge. Don't look it up.
Oh, we are so behind.
We
How
could
old
have
are we?
just done. Are we not kids anymore? Is that what?
Damn it.
You haven't been a kid for a long time.
Like my SNES.
I stand corrected.
Wow. So what didn't we like about this movie? There's a list, but it's not as bad a list as I expected.
I mean, I don't want to go first, but my list is real. I know exactly what I don't like about it.
I didn't like the Punisher. I love Ray Stevenson, but he was not a character. You compared him to Michael Myers or Jason.
Isaiah did.
Yeah. And it was very much I would have preferred, since he's got a face, I would have liked to see more with him.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's gonna be especially Ray Stevenson's got range. He's a great actor.
Yeah,
he's a dramatic actor.
Yeah.
And I guess it was maybe the direction for him. Like you said, a character director might have helped this out a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think Lexi Alexander was too focused on the acting side of things. I think she probably was maybe talking to him a bit more about the what was happening in the scene, but not necessarily getting into the nitty gritty. But
yeah, that would have helped. Just something like that. Something with more of a characterization for the Punisher, or the point of view audience surrogate character, which was lacking. One of those, and this could actually be an enjoyable movie. There's enough schlock in the movie that would make it rewatchable.
Mm-hmm.
Just for the rocket launcher scene. The visuals were great. Like, it is a feast for the eyes, and it's short enough that, you know, you could put this on at a party and just, it's fun, right?
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know. There weren't characters in this. Even Julie Benz, she's a fantastic actress, but she was like a nothing character. So, I felt like all the protagonists were underserved. Newman was just Newman, or Wayne Knight was just Newman, or Newman is Newman, but someone else was Newman. I don't know. There you go.
So as much as I liked the schlock and all that, like, I feel like you just need to make a choice. You go one way or the other way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that the story was pretty surface.
Oh,
In
There was a
general.
story?
Yeah, I know, which I guess, even if you do go like the schlocky way, I still think you need to have a decent story there, and I just don't think there was.
Yeah.
So that's my biggest...
I'll agree wholeheartly.
Yeah, I kind of wish that I liked the design of Jigsaw a lot, and he was really like. I think you can see it about 3/4 of the way through. He has just fully embraced that that makeup, as you were saying, Tim. But I was confused. I wasn't the biggest fan of his brother, Looney Jim or
Looney Bin Jim.
Looney
That was
Bin
his
Jim.
name?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Why didn't they tell us that more often?
Well,
I kind of wanted the brother and Jigsaw to be merged together.
Yes.
Like because I feel like it lessens Jigsaw. Like Jigsaw's gone through this crazy transformation. We kind of got a little bit of how obsessed he is with his appearance and like how he's very much a pretty boy kind of thing. And then we have this weird emotional scene where he's looking at himself in the mirror in a hotel lobby, and then his brother's like, "You should love yourself," and then goes around and smashes all the mirrors in the lobby. And
Very empowering moment.
Oh yeah, so empowering, so empowering. I think that was the biggest letdown for me. Is I just feel like there was a missed opportunity there. Same with the Punisher. I don't know. It might have hurt us watching Dirty Laundry
First.
the short film that Thomas Jane did, or that he starred in. Sorry. That showed
But it
more
did
of
put that nugget there for a Contra movie, which would be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like the Dirty Laundry Punisher, like the Tom Jane version of that was like a little more cheeky with like the bottle of JD or whatever he had that he took them all out with. It's like, yeah, it's a little more, in a way, fun.
It was fun.
Which is weird.
Even though it was more real, and it was
Yeah.
very like real themes and kind of hard hitting as well.
Yeah, the violence was more
And
brutal.
abrasive, yeah.
Yeah, like the violence in this movie is very much
But they still have
just
fun.
nth degree.
Yeah. And I think the Dirty Laundry one, for me, it was very street level violence, and that's something that we're kind of seeing. I think you see in all three Punisher movies that have come out. The Dolph Lundgren, the Thomas Jane, and now the Ray Stevenson, he's always going against these mob bosses.
Yeah.
And whereas Dirty Laundry was different because it was like, oh no, he's just messing up like some gangsters that are on the street. Yeah, and I feel like that's more what Punisher, like, I think maybe because it's different. We're seeing him take on these guys that look like real people, as opposed to, I swear, like, everyone was just wearing a black suit. Like of the mobsters, and then at the end, like the only color difference was what lights they had on them. The Asians had the Asian gang had the red light, the Irish gang has the green light, and then the who was the third one?
African American.
Oh yeah, and they had the blue light.
They had blue, purple,
purple, blue. Yeah. So I don't know, just
They were like very stock. Rent a Thug, right? And like all of them. And you're like, oh, they're from like background of The Sopranos. Oh, that guy was like behind somebody else in Batman Begins, or like I don't know. So that's too bad. But
I mean, I don't know what else to add to it. It's like basically, like Julie Benz wasn't. You could have literally taken her out of the movie and nobody it wouldn't have changed anything. Like, it could have just been the kid or just her. Her storyline is just apropos of nothing kind of thing.
Or she could have been the Newman stand-in. Like, they could have been the same character, right?
Yeah.
And then at the end, she's making the call, and then he's trying to save them both. Something that could have elevated the
He
stakes.
just literally operates as a photograph of his past.
Yeah.
It's-
And like, there's a lot of characters in this movie that don't need to be in the movie. Like, there's a lot of, there's like, almost has like too many characters, because like, there's that one cop at the beginning that punches
Yes.
himself and he goes away, then there's like the
Salmon comes in.
Can't remember his first name, the salmon
Colin
cop comes
Salmon,
in,
yeah.
Colin Salmon comes in, and then he's like the one that wants to get the Punisher, and then there's like the cop, like the comedy relief cop, but he's never funny.
Until the final scene.
Yes.
And then
Which should have been early. Which should have been the first scene.
Yeah.
and like everything that we said about the Punisher as a character in this movie, like everything you guys already touched it all. Like, it's just kind of like, there's two ways to do the Punisher. It's like that, or there's like the way that they did it in the Netflix show, where it's like you really dive into his psychology. And I don't know which is the right way, because they both have their downsides. But this one just went to horror movie villain for me. Just because, again, like, Ray Stevenson is great. And like, he really pulled off something fun and fantastic if he had been allowed or had embraced like the entire nature of the movie.
Do you think it's possible? Because the length of the movie says that they must have shot a lot more. Like, this was at that era where you just keep shooting everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pun intended. But,
Punisher.
do you think there was a lot more of the psychology that they just chopped and cut on the floor? Dad jokes coming at you.
Maybe.
Stay tuned for more back issues.
And my final point is I agree with Bray. I don't like Looney Bin Jim. It's like he just becomes.
Well, stay tuned for the
entirely.
pitch.
Yeah, I like
But
the
I-
idea of him, but not the way,
Yes.
the execution.
Yeah. And that's it. Yeah, that's basically like I think we touched on everything.
Alright,
The
I think we covered
execution.
some serious ground. Yeah.
All right, stay tuned for the rating.
When we sit you guys together.
Now you got that Yoga Seagull song stuck in my head. The rockin', we're rockin', rockin' and rollin'.
Oh yeah.
Down to the beach, I'm strolling.
And
the
we're
seagulls.
back.
Stop it now.
Yeah, good.
Hey,
Hi.
shout out to bad lip reading.
It is time to, give it our best rating
Yes.
or our worst rating.
Yes.
Mr. Bree Dial has our rating system all figured out over here.
yes.
Yeah, because we're so inconsistent, we choose something different from a movie every time. So, parkour rockets? Parkour?
yes.
Parkour
100%.
rockets.
Is the way to see
Yes.
it.
Yeah, you get
Parkour rockets.
5 parkour rockets
Five
for that
parkour
rating
rockets.
system.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll kick us off. I don't know. I enjoyed this movie when I saw it the first time round. I think I definitely saw it on a TV that wasn't of the quality that you now possess, Tim. So, the
He's gone crazy since
yeah. Fucking evil Tim's up in this. So the darkness and everything was a lot more there. There was more shadow and stuff like that, which I think played into some of the tone of this movie. But watching it again a second time with more of like a sort of laid back, pseudo-critical eye. There's definitely there's definitely a bunch of holes in it, and I don't know. I just feel it's a common thing that I say. I feel like there's some missed opportunities, but the main things for me are Jigsaw and the Punisher. I feel like these two need to really stand out, and I just wasn't fully invested in either of them for the second time round, so I'm gonna go 2.5 parkour rockets.
Took the rating out of my mouth.
For this one.
I am also going 2.5 parkour rockets. I think it was half good and half bad.
Yeah.
So I'm just like going pew right down the middle, and it's gonna blow up.
So you can only blow up like half of the park.
Yeah.
The guy's
just like
just left.
half brain. What did he say? Brain bits? Or I've got brain. What was that quote right at the end?
Right at the end. I've got brain splatter.
Brain
all
brain
over
mass
my-
splatter.
Brain, yeah.
Is it splatter?
Yeah.
Matter? Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, just half a brain splatter.
It's as though it happens to him on a regular basis. Because, Frank. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go next.
Sure.
Yeah, I wanted more from the Punisher. I wanted more from Jigsaw too. Like I think that he could have been crazier. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go 2.5 as well. Parkour Rockets, just because I do agree. It's like
Oh, wow, that's a lot of pressure.
it's fun to watch. It's easy to watch, but you're watching it, you're like, well, why isn't this? Or like, and then some moments you're, oh, that was great, and it's just kind of like halfway through. You know, it's very down the middle movie.
Have we ever had a streak?
A unanimous?
Yeah.
We haven't had a unanimous.
Never had a unanimous before.
Are you
I am
are you
so
gonna do it?
close, but like I thought going into this, I was gonna give it like a 0.5 or a 1, and
Whoa!
but no, like I mean, before I saw the movie,
Okay.
I just assumed I was gonna hate this entire episode, but I enjoyed it so much more that I'm willing to give it a full point up. So it's a 2. I don't know if I can give it a 2.5.
We're so close.
2 with a question mark.
We're so close.
It's like 2.1. Like, I don't know if I'd watch it again. It was visual.
Oh, that's fair enough.
It was. That's the only thing. It's not my kind of character. I hate these shoot 'em up movies. I love that it was short and less violent than I thought, so that bumps it up. You know what? Just because we're so inconsistent, I'll give it a 2.5.
Hey!
It's a pass.
You gotta be consistent about being inconsistent, Tim.
Yeah.
Well, then we can set our bar. This is sort of for back issues. This is like our middle of the road movie. That's pretty solid. I can agree that it's a 2.5.
Okay.
Pocket rocket. What do we call this?
Parkour rockets.
Parkour rockets.
Parkour rockets.
That's a different movie.
Yeah. Pocket rockets.
2 out of 5. Yeah, 2.5 out of 5.
Wow.
Parkour rockets.
Wow, this is a momentous occasion. We've
Yeah.
all agreed for once.
For once.
Never
And
had
probably never again.
No, never have we had a unanimous. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're incredibly inconsistent, so I don't know if this will ever be referred back to as our baseline, but it feels like a
It
good
feels
place
like
to be
it's
for a
for
baseline.
now.
Maybe it's also because it's very much we're
Off that
we're coming off of
3
like
Spider-Man.
3 Spider-Man movies in a row.
Everything's looking a little brighter.
So we're
Yes.
all like, oh, this
Yeah.
wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was expecting like Kill Bill level gore, and that didn't happen. And like had they gone more Tarantino schlock, even that would have been okay. I was braced for that.
Yeah.
I was expecting this to be really dark, and it wasn't. And it was more colorful than I expected. Again, it's just it would be nice if a movie had some characters in it.
Yeah.
There's all the gripes aside. It was fun to watch. So and you know. There, I've got a Punisher action figure, so it's good. And now it'll be interesting to see how we rate this. Stay tuned, I guess, for next season. We'll have to do the Thomas Jane Punisher,
Yeah.
and we'll see how that
One Punisher
comes
per
out.
season.
Yeah, that's all I can really handle. That's enough punishment. All right, well, what do you think? We're all good, unanimous.
Cool.
Stay tuned for our favorite part of Back Issues, the pitch. The pitch coming at you. Cool.
All right, it is time for the pitching. And I'm pretty sure Bray is...
Oh yeah, I will happily go. Go straight up.
Thoughts on that?
So the first time that I got introduced to Jigsaw in the comics, I think was in the New Avengers. It was just after Civil War, and Jigsaw was selling a Deathlock to the highest bidder. Now, Deathlock, for those of you that don't know, is like a cybernetic, half man, half android kind
I've
of.
seen the toy.
Yeah.
He's got like a red.
Yeah, he's like
or something.
he's like a super soldier from the future, which has been sent back. He has this AI in his head, and I got this sense that Jigsaw was kind of this like street level dealer that like has all of these ins with these other villains and stuff like that, and but he's not very good at his job.
Well, they got that right.
yeah. So I would have kind of gotten rid of some of the more flashy, like gangster elements of this movie, and I would have given Jigsaw more of like, I would have actually liked to have seen him as the one that we were following throughout. I think it would have been really cool to have the Punisher be more like that sort of Batman Spawn side of thing, where we don't really see too much of him unless he's in the action and like up close and personal. And then he like fades away into the shadows, and so he's got that real guerrilla warfare thing happening. And then we're following Jigsaw as he's kind of going through this spiral of madness, and like he gets disfigured, and then he accepts his disfigurement, and then he's kind of like the Frankenstein monster, so to speak. Like that's sort of what I would have liked to have seen anyway. I'm always more fascinated by villains, and I think Jigsaw, I think there's a lot that can be mined from that character, because that physical scarring can really lead to some interesting places to go mentally, and I feel like it was partially there in this movie, but I don't think Dominic West was given the material to sort of really come to terms with the fact that he's gone from this pretty boy to this disfigured monster, and I would have liked to have explored that more. That's the thing that really drew me in anyway when I think about Jigsaw. So that's what I would have.
The fractured psyche should have been more visible, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And see more of how his changed aesthetic impacts his life. Like
yes,
how are
exactly.
people dealing with him aside from the henchman who's like,
and they could have played it for comedy a lot more.
Yeah.
Like, I can't believe he screamed when I said he should scream.
Yeah.
That was weird.
That was great. But I think like there's
I was like, yeah, right. And then, oh no, he's actually screaming.
But I think there's a nice like exploration to be done about like that man that becomes broken and then rebuilds himself. It's kind of like we're seeing a different this Dark Mirror thing kind of keeps on coming up about how the Punisher has done a very similar journey but chosen a very different path.
You ever build a jigsaw puzzle too, and you get like so many of the pieces are all blue, like say it's the map of the world, and you think it's fit and it's almost fit but it's not perfect, and you just like, oh yeah, it's good. Like
I can picture
a bit,
that.
bit more like that, for the character. I think it could have really come through.
This is why Tim doesn't do this.
But anyway, I'm apparently very patient, so
yeah, I know what you mean. It's like, a little bit off.
A little bit off.
Yeah.
But not quite. And it's blue. But, I would have had that. But what I suggested for your kind of going with your Dark Mirror, he could have almost been like a Dark Mirror for a street-level Iron Man. Like, I suggested the James Bond bullet in the brain thing. Like, if he'd had a piece of glass that was actually, like, going into his brain, maybe he's, like, street-level dealing in weapons, more like Michael Keaton's, Vulture. I was gonna say Birdman.
Yeah.
But like something like that. Maybe there were like some parts that were keeping the glass from going in his brain, kind of like Iron Man has the arc reactor, but you get the very ground level. And I would have had the brother like still in there, but I suggested he'd be like Dexter. It's like a ghost that he's seeing, or it's all in his mind, and to have that element of like the fractured psyche manifesting, like maybe he doesn't even know the Punisher's there. Sometimes he's shooting at nothing, and I'd really let him just go full crazy with it. Like I would have loved to see him get crazier as it went on, and then that would explain his like strut and the walk. Like there could have been a sequence where they go in to break his brother out of jail, and they get there, and he's having the conversation. He's like, "Oh, you came for me," and like the henchmen are like looking at each other, and like there's no one there, and they've like gone out of their way to break no one out of jail, and then he could like shoot one of them and leave him in there and like go out and right, like just there could have been a lot more. He really could have been elevated as a character, right? If they'd gone full madman with it.
Yeah.
And I like the idea of the scarring being like, in his mind as much as on his body, and they didn't really quite do that enough. And so if he, for a Frankenstein, the idea that he's like forcing parts together that don't fit, and like his plan could just be the same kind of thing. He's like mixing gangs and trying to like put everything together like a puzzle, but there's no picture on the box.
Yeah.
So it's
I think it makes him more interesting as a villain as well, because if he's doing, like, if his plans are these haphazard things that kind of come together, and then you're forcing the Punisher to do something different. He's trying to figure out, well, wait a minute, this guy, it's like it's like he's facing off against 4 different foes.
Right.
Because his brain is working in so many different ways, like, together, but differently and not making sense.
Not making sense, but he thinks it makes sense to him, so
kind of like that sentence just there.
That was my inner dialogue.
I saw that in your face. I was like, yeah, she's you know what's happening.
Silently
Totally.
judging.
And the war journal element. Then they could have played up the relationship with the cop more. I would have introduced the comic relief cop. Probably it sounds like what they're probably doing with Spawn, right? With the Sam and Twitch being kind of the main focus. And it'd be neat if like they had kind of elements of Rorschach. Like he should be using a classic tape recorder, leaving his notes and like mailing them to the police station, sending them in with fingers. He's like, "Here, I thought I'd give you a hand." Right? And then they get a hand in the mail. Stuff like that, right?
Oh my god.
Right? Like, that's... Because Frank is also supposed to be kind of, like, insane, right? So, like,
cracked, right?
pitting them against each other, like, I thought he would have been a great foil for Frank. And then it maybe would have elevated the schlocky angle a little bit more. Like, that's the kind of gore I can deal with, too. And if, I don't know, maybe one day Tarantino does a movie, maybe give him The Punisher and see what he could really do. But, yeah, I don't know. That's my pitch.
Well, I think that you have kind of covered a lot of the story things. So I'm gonna, like, cut straight to... One of the things that kept pulling me out of connecting to the story, because, you know, what story there was there, was the soundtrack. I just think they just need to lift it off and start from scratch and not have it so kind of in your face. A little more gentle, subtle suggestions with the music, and instead of like
even like different musical like movements. They could have had like a strings quartet and then had like a percussion and like just drums only, and like the different like personas of the different characters could be like clashing, and then you could get just like noise at different parts when they're fighting, and like give each character a kind of like musical theme, and then they could come together, and then their themes could fracture apart. Like, I don't know. I agree. That could be super cool.
It certainly wasn't helping my viewing experience.
You didn't like suddenly having
shitty generic open sourced.
Very much so. Isaiah, what are your thoughts?
I mean, like, you guys touched on a lot of stuff. Like, I don't know how to make a Punisher movie. I think that basically the only way I could make this movie better would be to just elevate the characters a little. Just, like, go back to the script and just be like, why are none of these people actually characters? You know what I mean?
What is the purpose? Like, go through each character. What's the purpose of this one?
Yeah. Yeah, like, a little more character focus on, like, another draft of this script would have really, like, I think just, like, bumped it up at least another parkour rocket in my brain. Because, like, it's like, Punisher's not really a character. Jigsaw could have been better. Like, I do agree, it's like, we don't... Or, like, even if it, like, after Punisher takes him out, and then he goes and he's, like, at the bottom again, and it's like, he has nothing anymore. But because he's exactly the same status, even though the cops grabbed him at the end, or when he gets the glass thing.
He's the same place when
he's like,
his arc
he's got the
is
same
nowhere.
status as he did before the accident, so it's like, I think that more of a reason to hate the Punisher.
They could have given him the opposite of, like, giving him reasons to live, like, and that would have kind of disrupted the Punisher's path. Like, what if Julie Benz's character, like, do I suggest injecting romance into movies that it doesn't belong, but what if she was like night nurse to him a little bit and helped him out enough times that she starts off, he accidentally kills her husband, and then halfway through the movie, you know, they're kind of getting a relationship, have a bit of tension, and maybe he starts to see himself as like, maybe he could be like this little girl's dad, maybe he could step away from
really
the
don't
Punisher.
Explore that at all.
At all,
it's
right?
just like you said, it's just like a snapshot of what he had.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. I would just give the script another draft or two with character focus in mind.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, all in all, a very average movie.
Yeah. Wow. Well, there you go.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for sitting through another movie with the Back Issues team. Bray, Mel, Tim, Isaiah. We are so happy to have you. And you know where to find us.
Rate, review,
Thanks.
subscribe.
Yeah, I was like, what am I
yeah.
Click here, or here, or here.
Wait,
or here.
I'm supposed to be the marketing. I'm terrible at this.
It was good. Enjoy and check out our old back issues reviews and check out the new ones. I guess, do we do a teaser? Should we tell you what we're doing? So what we think next time? Or
No, I just mean
we'll do that
separately.
as
That's another thing.
Stay tuned.
What? Oh, hi. Thanks for watching Back Issues. You can like, share, subscribe, and we got links in the bio for you. If you want some more Back Issues, because I know I do, just check us out. We got heaps more.